Okay, so today we're going to make chicken dumpling soup. It is quite chilly outside. So what better time to make a nice warm soup with delicious dumplings than on a freezing day? Alright, so typically what I do when I'm making my chicken dumpling soup is I fill the pan about 3/4 of the way full or so, and I put a whole chicken in there and I boil it until it's done, probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Take it out, take the meat off the bones. You could save the bones and make a stock after that, but what I do is I just take the meat, set it aside, chop it up for later, add my onion, celery, carrots, cook those through, add the dumplings in, and then add the chopped chicken. Of course, there's spices too. You'll see what I'm about to do with that. If all you have is chicken breasts, however, what you do is you take your thawed chicken breasts, you chop them up in your pan, you put some butter or oil, you saute your onions, celery, carrots, chicken, then add the water after that's all cooked through. When it comes to a boil, add your spices, and last of all, you add your dumplings, let them cook through. It takes about 10 minutes, and then your soup's done. So there's 3 different ways you can do it. Today, what I'm going to do is I already cooked the chicken to make my chicken stock the other day. So I'm just going to chop that up and add it after the dumplings. So just heat it up and put it in. So let's get to that. This is the chicken I already cooked from the chicken stock recipe. It should be posted before this one. And then I'm going to chop my veggies in here. You can hand chop them. 2 onions in, because I like plenty of onions in mine. If you have one is fine. Chop it up. Your pan here. I just heated up with oil. Made the mistake of having water in my pan. There we go. Add one. When I have a moment, I'll throw this stuff in the compost bucket or the chicken bucket. You want to get good and fast at chopping your onions if you have sensitive eyes like me.
Okay.
I'm alright crying, not chopping as fast. Stir it up. Make sure you don't brown that much. Keep it maybe slightly golden, but not too brown. Alright, so I cut off the end. You can use that in stock or something, if you still wish. And then I just cut off the little ends over here because they've been exposed to the grocery store or something. I don't know. Just a little bit. And then rinse it off, just in case any dirt's been left on there. I'm going to cheat. I'm not going to hand chop all this. I'm going to put it through my process. Move the ends off of my carrots and clean them off. I'm keeping the skins out. The next part is we've got to mix up our dough for the dumplings. Also, once that stuff is cooked through, we're going to add the chicken stock. There's a little over 2 quarts of chicken stock that we're going to add to it, and then you do like half stock and half water. So we'll add a couple of quarts of water. It might even be more than that of water, what I ended up adding. Yeah, probably so. Okay, so we are about to make some dumplings to go in our soup. I'm grinding some of my own grain You don't have to. I'm just going to show you how it's done. I have a Magic Mill 2 here that I found when I was cleaning out a rental. Also, I'll show you hand grinding it with the hand crank kind. I just thought I'd show you. Why not? This is spelt flour. I'm gonna mix it with a little bit of unbleached flour from grain mill. Alright, let's just dump that in here. Alright. That's all cooked through, so I'm gonna go ahead and add my liquids. In fact, you don't even have to cook it all the way through because it'll keep cooking in your water. Here, can you do that?
Mm-hmm.
First I'm adding my stock, and then I'll add probably equal or more water. Equal amounts or more water. See, I like to have my pan about 3/4 of the way full to add the dumplings in, because I make a lot of dumplings. I'm taking a single batch, instead of doing a single batch of dumplings for this pot, I do about 2 to 3 times that amount. We like lots of dumplings in our chicken dumpling soup. Alright, now for the water. 1, 2. The nice thing about using your quart jars that you have the stock in is it finishes rinsing out all the yumminess in it. 3. And you know what? I'm going to add at least 4 quarts. Yep, I'm going to add 5 quarts of water. It's a big pot, and we're making lots of dumplings. And it gets thickened by the flour in the dumpling, so there we go. Okay, first we're going to use the flour that I ground. I may have ground enough for the whole recipe, but I may not have. I'm tripling the recipe, so I'll tell you first the single batch amount, and then I'll tell you the triple amount, because you can always make a smaller pot of soup with the same recipe. You just use less of everything than me. So for a single batch, you use 3 cups. I'm going to use 9, but for single batch, use 3. Nine. 3, 6, 9. Yep, 9. Okay, so that's all that we need for a triple batch. And then for that, you're going to need, for a single batch, you're going to need 1/3 and 2 tablespoons of butter or vegetable shortening. I don't need that. So for tripling that, it's going to be 1 cup plus 6 tablespoons. So it's a little over a 1/3 cup. So 1 1/3 cup of butter. Now this is room temperature butter, so that I'll be able to work it into my flour like you would with a pie crust. Always keep good clean hands so that you can work with your hands. I've been using my hands before. You need and I forgot to do it, but when you put your flour in, you put 1 tablespoon of baking powder for 1 batch. I'm putting 3. And 1½ teaspoons of salt. So for me, that's going to be 4½ teaspoons. Mix that in. Hope it does well. Alright, the next step is your milk. Why is it water? Put 3/4 cup of milk. I'm putting triple that. So 2 1/4 for me. Alright, so there's my milk. Kind of mix it in. I just kind of do it in slicing motion because I like to do this like I'm doing a pie crust for some reason. Just using my hands here at the end because I'm tired of fighting with that wimpy thing. I don't know where my good one is. There it goes. Alright, now with the spices, I don't really measure any of it, which is not helpful to you. I know I'll try to do it with this part at least. No, you're not. This is sweet basil leaves. And I just put about 1.5 tablespoons of that. That should be good. With the garlic, salt, black pepper that I put in, just do it to taste. You can taste your broth every now and then, see what you like. Another trick with spices is smell your spice and then smell what you're cooking, and your body will kind of sense how much it needs in that dish. It's kind of weird. Also taste and smell, think about it, and you kind of start learning to just eye it with the spices. The trick I've known since I was a teenager. My parents took a gourmet cooking class and let me in on that secret. I'd say with the garlic, it's probably like a teaspoon or 2. Well, I wish I had one of those shakers, but fresh ground is better. With this, it's probably going to be about a teaspoon or 2 black pepper. I'm going to mix it up. You can always come back to it. Better to put too little than not enough, because you can always add to it, but you can't subtract. Okay, that last one was salt, and I don't know how much I just put in there. That one, just be careful. Over-salting food really stinks. So, sometimes I will stand here and test it a lot before deciding how much I like in there. So you can taste it, add a little, taste it, add a little, you know. Better to do that than just dump a bunch in and be like, oh, this is nasty. This is almost to a boil. Alright, so we're just going to make our dumplings into little balls. They are kind of a whole grain because that's with spelt flour mostly. So I'm going to make them smaller than usual. Normally, I think I would make them about, I don't know, make them whatever size you want. But if you make them too ginormous, it's going to be hard to cook them through on time. Mommy. We want to cook it in about 10-15 minutes. So that would be about the size I normally do. How to tell you how big this is. More than 1 inch in diameter, right? I don't know. And I might put some big ones still. Mm-hmm. But we don't want them as big as usual just because the whole grain, I'm worried it wouldn't cook through fast enough. We're going to go ahead and do this with all of our dough. I can show it to you once it's all in, but they'll come floating to the top right after getting in there. So they seem to be absorbing the liquid and expanding, which is normal. They're not a spongy dumpling. These are really delicious dumplings. They're like southern dumplings. Exactly the way I like them. Of course, this is actually my first time making them with spelt flour, so I am curious to see what they're like with this. Normally I just use unbleached flour. Alright, here's the last 2 dumplings. I'm adding in. As you can see, they're starting to float on the top. When they float on the top, you just kind of mix them in because you want those new ones to get thoroughly cooked in that liquid. One thing I am noticing with the whole grain is they're falling apart way more easily. So you might want to just do like half of the unbleached and half of the whole grain, or do fully unbleached. Or all-purpose. Go ahead and use all-purpose if that's what you're into. All that works. Woo. While that cooks for about 10-15 minutes, probably about 10, I'm going to go ahead and finish chopping up my pre-cooked chicken and add it in here as soon as I'm done cutting it up. It's like the dumplings ate the chicken. It's like a big mouth eating it. I forgot to say anything or film anything, but we just served the soup and it was delicious. It was definitely a winner. All the kids loved the dumplings. They did not fall apart too much. In fact, they were just perfect. I have no complaints. If you wanted a milder flavor and less spelt flavor, I would just do a little bit more of the unbleached and less the spelt, but really, I would not mind making them just like this again because it was delicious and full of nutrients. There is nothing unhealthy in this. Alright, anyway, thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.